Yes, Sam, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in this afternoon. Do us a big favor, smash that like button for us. Hit the retweet button as well. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. And you can either go into our description right now or click over on the live chat. As it stands right now, we're posting in there a link to sign up to our mailing list and our brand new newsletter that is on the way to you. Big competition on the way to win a PlayStation 5. You can only win it if you sign up to that mailing list. So go crack on with that. Now, we're here to talk Ollie. We're here to talk Paul Pogba and their Manchester United careers. What direction are they going in? We want to take your calls. We want to take your views. The Skype lines are opening very, very soon. If you want to call via Skype, search Football Terrace FC. We want to hear from you. Ollie out, of course, trending for over 24 hours across multiple social media sites. Paul Pogba also receiving a barrage of abuse, criticism, some of it warranted. Of course, some of it's always going to go over the top when it comes to football players. They are the main body of today's conversation. Of course, if you want to speak about other elements to do with Man United, to do with Arsenal, to do with any other thing that happened over the Premier League weekend, feel free to give us a call right now. Search Football Terrace FC on Skype and call in. But make sure you're smashing that like button. We're not going to go any further until we fly past that 100 like mark. So I'm sitting here waiting. So if you haven't hit the like button yet and you're tuning in, hit it right about now. Hello to Nasek, one of our members here, says blaming this loss on Pogba is the sign of an idiot. So great point there. It's a great point there. Assigning this particular loss to any one individual is complete idiocy. You're absolutely right when it comes to that. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. But is there a Paul Pogba problem? That's the question that I want to speak to you all about today. Have we got to a point now where we have to start looking and seriously talking about Paul Pogba being a flop at Manchester United? That's the question that I'm posing to you today. Now, this is a player, by the way, who in his last 9 games has created just 2 chances in these matches. This is a player that in his last 30 games for Man United has just 2 assists. This is a player that in his last 30 games has just 1 goal. And this is the player in his last 30 games that had 0, not 1 second assist. So he hasn't played the pass that has led to the assist in that time. He had a handful of games after lockdown where he was very, very good. High level of chances being created. He went through, I think in 9-game period, he created 12 chances. Since then, played 9 games, just 2 chances created. Goes missing in a large number of high-profile games against top 6 opponents, especially when he has it put on him. Especially when a player is giving it to him, there's a bit of rough, there's a bit of tumble. Do you know what I mean? There's a bit of grit that's desired. Paul Pogba seems to go missing. But I want your views. I want your opinions on this. Is it too easy to blame Paul Pogba, or do we need to look closer at him? That's the first question. The other one is, Ollie, is his job on the line? Is he close to being sacked like some people suggest? Maurizio on Monday Night Football tonight, keeping his options open. Could that still be someone that's bought into the club? Of course, massive Champions League games this week. And of course, Saturday's game against Everton becomes a mammoth affair now. Huge affair that I don't think we can get ourselves away from. But as ever, I want your views. I want your opinions. Grey Wolf Dinner here, one of our members, says Bruno Fernandes was worse than Pogba. Bruno Fernandes was definitely awful yesterday. But I would say Bruno Fernandes has probably had, and this is an overview rather than going to give you individual examples. I would say Bruno Fernandes in 10 months, and of course, remember a lot of them months we were out of football, has had more stellar performances in that time period than Pogba has in the last 5 years. So there is never going to be the same attention towards Bruno dropping a clanger as there is towards Paul Pogba, who has dropped multiple performances like yesterday over a 5-year period. And this isn't about, look, my view is very simple. I think it's the right time to start looking to go beyond Paul Pogba, finishing our relationship with Paul Pogba. Not because I don't think he's talented, not because he's the sole reason that we're in trouble. I'm not that bipolar or hyperbolic. I just think a change for him and us is as good as a rest. Cash in on him, move him on to a club where maybe he feels more value or he can sort of start again. We take that money and we reinvest it. That is my view. On Ollie, listen, so much has been spoken about. Week in, week out. This format, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2 diamond. Start him, drop him, play him, put him here, put him there. I look at it this way. I was doing some statistical breakdowns today. That isn't really the issue. The formation isn't the problem. It's when Man United are pressed. Whenever we are pressed by a team, we invariably lose. And I did the statistical breakdown here over the last 45 games that Man United have played in. Okay. We win over 87% of our games where teams allow us 14 or more passes per defensive action against us. Okay. So far this, I'll give you an example. A case in point would be against Newcastle. Newcastle United allowed us around 17 passes before they applied a defensive action towards us. We lose over 80% of the games where teams allow 10 or less passes per defensive action. And the general, action that stops you from having so many passes is being pressed. When teams press and hurry Man United and stop us from passing, whether it's technical ability, whether it's tactical nous from the manager, or the determination to work through it, or maybe a combination of all three, Man United capitulate. And that middle ground between 10 and 14 is where a lot of our games go either way or we draw. It's the results of the study are absolutely fascinating. If teams don't press us and hurry us on the ball, we win nearly 90% of the matches. If they hurry us on the ball and allow less than 10 actions per defensive, less than 10 passes per defensive action, United lose. And in some of the real disastrous games, so if you think about the Tottenham game, we were allowed less than 7 passes per defensive action. Now, there are always going to be anomalies. When we played Paris Saint-Germain, they only allowed us 10 passes per defensive action, and we still beat them. And that sometimes works when your passes come off and your counters work and you pull things off. But they are the exception that prove the rule. Man United, I don't think it matters whether we're 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, 5-4-2, 10-4-2, 2-for-2, 3-for-3, 2-and-2. It don't matter what we are. 8 times 8, 69. Legs 11. Don't matter what we are, what number we have out there on the pitch. We cannot handle being pressed. Why? Is it the personnel? Is it the manager? Is it a combination of both? I want your calls right now. Skype lines are opening, but make sure you smash the living daylights out of that like button, people. Super chat here from Tyrone. It says, to people who say Pogba's price doesn't matter, if you play well enough, people don't talk about the price. Pogba hasn't lived up to the price or the hype. Listen, a lot of people are going to agree with you there, Tyrone, but we want your calls. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what you're feeling. As I say, Skype lines on that open. Give us a little bit of a tinkle. Give us a little bit of a buzz. I want to hear from you right now. Comment here says, Terry, you play mind games like you thought Ollie was gonna go out. You start to build a hypothetical reason to already blame Poch for United's failure just to be against the Ollie outers. Zaza, explain how I do that, please, my friend. Explain how I do that, because that doesn't make sense. You need to explain how I'm doing that. We have Teo on the show here. Teo, welcome to the Football Terrace. What are you saying?
Hello?
Hello, my friend. What's on your mind?
So you're talking about the whole Pogba thing?
Yeah, I'm at a point where I think a lot of United fans now, including myself, are looking at Paul Pogba and we're saying, even now or sometime in the near future, he is going to be looked at as a flop. And I want your opinions on that, bro.
So I'm not even going to lie. I'm a Pogba fan. But it's just like he has like one good game. Then the next game, he has a bad game. So it's just like at the end of the day, I'm a Manchester United fan. So if Pogba doesn't do good, then he doesn't do good. I can't sit here and try and defend him. But what I have to say is he's been when people say he's been a whole entire flop this whole time, I disagree with that, because do you remember when Ollie first came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how Pogba was getting goals and assists. I feel like he because when you have the 90 million price tag, everyone expects you to be this. But at the same time, I understand how people can call him a flop, but I don't agree entirely with that.
And you're absolutely entitled to have that opinion. Some people won't. Some people look more at the managers that he's had in charge of him at the time. They'll look at the tactics of the manager as an example. Proof's going to be in the pudding, isn't it? Because if Ollie is removed before Pogba, and let's just say Poch comes in, and and this is where it becomes difficult to defend. Pogba might be the one who's being wronged here, and I might be wrong for thinking that he's flopped. If Poch comes in though, and the performances don't become more consistent, or if Poch comes in and wants rid of Paul Pogba, maybe our answers are there for all of us to sort of see. I think for me, when you look though at how good Bruno Fernandes has been in a United shirt, of course with 3 or 4 really poor performances, that's quite normal. I've seen all top players in my lifetime. I've seen R9, I've seen Messi, I've seen Ronaldo drop bad performances each year. I've seen all those players have multiple bad performances every year, even when they're flying. But with Paul Pogba, I don't remember the last game against a top 6 opponent in the Premier League where you were like, do you know what the last one I can really think of? And there may be some that I'm missing, so excuse me here. Away against Chelsea in the FA Cup when we beat them, I thought it was phenomenal win. I thought he was very good at the beginning of last season against Chelsea in the Premier League as well, to be fair. But is that enough? That'd be my question.
I have one more, even though it's probably not enough. You remember Man City?
Yeah, bro, and that's cool. That's 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. I see what you know. I at this point, I've just realized like it's the best for Man United. At the end of the day, like he's come at the wrong time when we're like starting like to develop our team, and at the same like we need people that are gonna like work for the team. I'm not saying like he doesn't. But you know what I mean.
Mate, I hear you. I think people get overly defensive. There's a question here from Twisted Bubba that says, Terry, is Pogba a better player than Ollie as a coach? My answer is yes. But I think Paul Pogba is what I call a fair weather player. When it's going well in a game, when United are on top, he is amazing along with us. When you have some games, and yesterday was an example that was gritty, bitty, tenacious, and it was a battle. It was a midfield battle where you've got to fight. Your technical ability will help you, but you need to roll your sleeves up and have it. And I know that we get all these modern day hipsters that are like, no, football is about elegance and art and about technical ability and the eye test. Yeah, but it's also about getting stuck in. It's also about having some heart, passion, and desire. And you saw that with Thomas Partey yesterday as an example. And I think that's what Paul Pogba is fight or flight in the tough moments. And for me, Pogba runs away as opposed to stands up and fights. Bro, Teo, great call. Thank you for coming on the show. Some super chats here. The first one is from James Colbert, who says, Pogba is a luxury player just like Ozil. The only difference is Arteta kicked him, Ozil, out of the team. Dinesh here says, afternoon, Terry. Bruno had an off day. It happens to everyone in any job. As an electrician, I've had an off day at work before. And I hear you on that. And I think all players are allowed off days. The fact is, Bruno Fernandes has delivered an exceptionally high rate for Man United since he's been here. He's always going to get away with this. I'm confident in the next 2 games that Bruno plays in, he's going to score and assist goals and be dominant and be hugely influential. And I think that's why you won't get as much criticism on somebody like him. So I think people are just trying to defend Pogba by saying, well, Bruno was bad yesterday. I'm not blaming Paul Pogba for us losing to Arsenal yesterday. Yes, the tackle was bad that gave the penalty away. He didn't have a good performance in the middle. But this is looking at Paul Pogba's overall body at work at Man United. And I still think he's a highly talented player. I'm just getting to a point where I don't think the fit between the two is good. My example, Dinesh, your comment would be this. I loved ham sandwiches and I love jam sandwiches, but I don't think I'd like a jam and ham sandwich together. I think that'd be a little bit gross. Sometimes the combination don't quite work. I knew he'd phone the show today because he didn't phone the show when United beat PSG or when we beat Newcastle or when we beat Leipzig, but I knew he'd ring the show today. But fair play to him. It's man like eye test. What you saying, mate?
Yes. First of all, I want to say that 100% that Paul Pogba tackle was a mistake. It was a poor decision by Paul Pogba. But I believe that people they're focusing on the wrong things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100% that was a mistake. But people are not looking at the real issues. I also heard Roy Keane speaking about how the players weren't motivated and all that. I believe also that you're not focusing on the right things. Yeah, I believe what the issue yesterday was the tactics. Let me explain why. Yeah. First of all, you used a diamond formation against a defensive team. Anyone who knows football, you know that doesn't work, because when you're playing against a defensive team, you need to stretch the defense, try and make space in the middle by stretching the opposition defense. The diamond formation worked against RB Leipzig because they played a high line. Yeah, diamond formations work mostly against teams that are going to attack us and play high lines. When you're playing against a defensive team, especially when they're using a 5 at the back, you cannot use a diamond formation. That's why our attack was nullified in yesterday. It was nullified because it was too narrow.
I totally agree. And in the second half, he switched it and we went back to the 4-2-3-1 and we had more of the ball. And then we saw Arsenal put all their players behind the ball when they weren't in possession. So where I agree with you completely, the 4-4-2 did not work in that first half. The mistake Ollie made, in my opinion, he should have changed the formation before halftime, but he did change it in the end and we were more dominant in the second half. But we still had players like Paul Pogba, like Bruno, like McTominay, like Fred, that couldn't string a pass together yesterday. Why were they also? And we look at Paul Pogba as a standout because it's been a number of big performances, and he is our best player technically. When it comes to the eye test, and you forget about stats, most people have a consensus that he is our best football player. Why could none of them pull off the right? Why were they all getting bullied off the ball by El Neni and Thomas Partey yesterday? What made them so poor? When you consider how good they were against PSG, Leipzig, and even with Chelsea, like we were a much better team against Chelsea than we were against Arsenal. What made that the problem? Why was that issue there?
Okay, for you have players like Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. So I believe the manager should set out, let them thrive. And by doing that, is by stretching the opposition defense so that Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes can pick out these passes, because you're stretching the opposition defense and making space in the opposition defense. But we played too narrow. There weren't no space. So
in the second half, we went to a 4-2-3-1. You had Pogba that drifted out wide left, and you had Greenwood that went out to the right. We were stretching the play then, but these players were given the freedom then to pass, and then they couldn't. Yesterday wasn't the formation for me is almost irrelevant. When you look at the statistical factual breakdown, when teams press Man United, okay, so when they allow us 10 or less passes per defensive action, we invariably lose or draw the game. And even when you look at the games where we do win, we invariably scrape it. So the facts are there. When you pressure Man United, we struggle. Why do so many of our players, including Fred, including Pogba, we know why McTominay will struggle because we know he's a squad level player. But why do some of our top level individuals consistently struggle against teams that press us hard? Why?
Well, that's also down to coaching, because I'm seeing Arteta within 6 months. I see the team pass beautifully from the back, way better than we do right now. Even though Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, this is about to be 2 years in the job. 2 years in the job, and he still hasn't coached the team.
From your point of view, you're saying that Ole doesn't know how to coach us to be able to beat a hard press.
Yeah, because you have to create situations where you have passing options. Arteta has done that within 6 months.
So you don't think that this is and again, I'm not challenging your opinion. I'm trying to understand it. So you don't think this is players not being up for the fight? Because I get your point on tactics. You got to work on that in training. But have you ever heard there's an expression or more of a saying, really, something that Mike Tyson said, that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face? Meaning you can plan to fight me and have tactics, but when you feel my power on your jaw, your plan goes out the window. And I feel there's an element of that with a lot of these Man United players. I think some of these guys could be coached to within an inch of their lives to know what to do. But as soon as it's actually put on them, their old April goes and I don't have the bottle for it. And for me, that's something that needs to be addressed. There's a confidence issue. You know, like, look at Tottenham. Tottenham, for me, have an inferiority complex when it comes to the crunch. When it comes to the moment to cross that line to win something or move to that next level, they invariably bottle it because I don't think it's instilled within them as a football club. Man United have lost that as well for me. We saw it. How many times have we seen it? Forget Ollie for 3 or 4 years now. where we get to a point where it's like, okay, our rivals all lost today. Let's take advantage. Flop. I would say a good 80%, 90% of the time where we have an opportunity to take an advantage over a rival, or it's that game, oh, we can move on to the next level today, or whatever it may be, we bottle it. And Ollie can definitely take a big part of the blame for that right now. But I've seen it 3 or 4 managers running. If you look at the statistical breakdown of win percentages of every single manager since Fergie retired, it's between 50 and 55% for all of them. No one's really improved it. I think there is a psychological problem at the club, the same one that's followed Tottenham around for 30 odd years, the same one that's followed Arsenal around now for 15 or so years. I think this thing gets into your head. And I think it's I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. There's a psychological block on it as well, that every time a team puts it on United, the Aprils go, the bottle goes, and they forget how to play. Invariably, occasionally you get a PSG game where we manage to do excellently well, but it's a massive worry for me. In terms of Paul Pogba, would you sell him in the summer?
No, I wouldn't sell him. He, in my opinion, is the best midfielder in the world. If you play him in his right position, yeah, in a balanced midfield. For so many years, yeah, we've been playing him out of position in an unbalanced midfield. How when we still haven't.
So what's your excuse for him being played in what everybody was begging for? Yes, they begged him to be played in the 4-3-3. He's played in the 4-3-3 and flopped in big games. He's played in the diamond and he's flopped in big games. I mean, what more excuses are you going to give Paul Pogba? Because you were the same guy, by the way, that used to give Eden Hazard a pass every time he dropped a bad game or had a bad season. It was always the manager. It was always his teammates. It was always somebody else's fault. Why won't you just look at Paul Pogba and say maybe he just doesn't have the heart for the big games?
Because yesterday I saw heart in Paul Pogba. It was just a poor performance. Same with Bruno Fernandes. I'm not gonna blame Paul Pogba or Bruno Fernandes for yesterday's game, because yesterday I believe they were set up to fail. I said it already. The way the team was set up.
And you know what? I always have you on the show. It's no echo chambers. The only thing I would throw out at you, which proves to me that I don't think you are a Man United fan. I've said that to you before. What you are is you're a consumer of Man United. In the same way that I consume Netflix, in the same way that I consume Amazon Prime, in the same way that I consume a cheeky McDonald's every now and then. You consume Man United in the same way. You're there to watch them win as opposed to love the football club. That's my humble opinion when it comes to you, because you never phone the show when we play brilliantly and do well. You're never, ever on. You were not phoning up. I mean, when we beat RB Leipzig the other day, why were you not phoning up praising the managerial masterclass of Ollie in that game?
No, but
why not though? Why didn't
StreamYard?
Yeah,
it wasn't a cooling. I remember.
But I did 3 streams the next day. You didn't phone up. You never phone when we play well. You only phone when things go wrong, which tells me you're a consumer. Because someone who loves the club and someone who's a fan of the football club, like me, I've condemned everything about yesterday. I condemned everything after the Tottenham game, but then I praise the club in equal measure when we win well. That's what someone who loves the football club does. For me, you're a consumer, which is fine. And that's why you're also not angry at the Glazers, because you're a consumer. You're happy to be treated like a customer as opposed to a stakeholder an emotional stakeholder in the football club. But I test my bro. Thank you as ever. Good 10-minute chat with you there, my friend. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. Speak to you soon, buddy. Thank you. Next on the show, we have LFC Rants on the show with us here. LFC Rants. What's your thoughts on Pogba and Ollie, mate?
Yeah, hi. So for Pogba, I guess he's very inconsistent, and I just think, I mean, he's only at your club based upon the price tag. I mean, if he was someone else, he would have been long gone, and or should have been. I mean,
bro, try and call us back wherever you are. It's exceedingly loud. Try calling us back again on a different line. We've got Karim on the line now. Karim, who do you support and what do you want to say? Hi, Karim. Okay, Karim has gone. Let's try Kyle. We're going to get Kyle on the show. Kyle, welcome back to the Football Terrace, mate. What do you want to say? Actually, you're not loading.
Hi, Kyle. Hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Yourself?
I'm okay. Please sell Pogba to me, man. I would love to have him at Liverpool.
You'd like to have Paul Pogba. Why would you like Paul Pogba at Liverpool? Tell me why, bro.
To me, seriously, he's a great player. I think Man United has done him a disservice by having squad players around him. I don't think it much of McTominay or Fred. I think Fred, for the last year and a half, he has been doing better. But around him, it's just too average. I think at Man United, your fan base or the pundit are asking him to do stuff that is impossible.
Like what? What have we asked Paul Pogba to do that's impossible?
I'm not asking him. I'm not saying it's impossible to do. What I'm saying is that with what he's working, it's impossible to do. I don't think McTominay is good enough to be playing with him. I don't think Fred was good enough to be playing with him. I don't think there was a certain time Rashford was too young to be playing with him. When we talk about 18, 19. Again, I would love to have Rashford. I'll pay 200 million, 300 million to get Rashford if I fit at Liverpool. I think Marshall was not consistent enough. And when we had when you had Lukaku wasn't consistent enough. He was missing a lot of goals. Who did you have? You had Sanchez. Sanchez was just a terrible signing. It was just horrible.
So what I'm hearing here is that it's everybody else's fault and not Paul Pogba's.
Oh, I will blame Paul Pogba. I'm not his stan, but but when we're looking at it, why it's not working, we also got to look at what is around him. Are the pieces around him are good enough? But I'm sure Paul Pogba deserves some culpability.
Do you know what I'd say? Listen, bro, I really appreciate your call and your opinion on that. This is what I would say in response. Does the team look better with better quality players in it? Yes, I think it's a fairly logical thing to say. What I would say is this. A lot of Paul Pogba's mistakes that people find infuriating are simple passes not going where they should. Him being dispossessed in possession easily. Him not putting in the grit, the work rate, and the tenacity that's needed. I can't blame Paul Pogba. I can't blame Scott McTominay or Fred or a young Rashford or a Lukaku or a Zlatan or Lindelof or Oli or Jose for that element. That is on Paul Pogba. The biggest weakness in Fred's game invariably is losing the ball in his own final third. He just sometimes he lacks the vision to check around to make sure who's around him, and he turns into trouble. I don't think there's much coaching that can stop that. It's a flaw that he has within himself, and there's certain elements that are there. I get your point that if he was surrounded by better quality players, he should be better. But I just think overall, and thank you very much for your call, by the way, I just think overall it's a bit of a weak excuse for Paul Pogba, blaming everybody else for his mistakes. I just don't think that's fair on everybody else, because a lot of the issues Man United fans like me have, when he dilly-dallies on the ball in his own half, when he loses possession in his own half. There was a time yesterday where he could have played a very simple ball inside to Scott McTominay, and he holds on to it for a split second too long, and he's dispossessed in the middle. I wish I could show you the footage. He's dispossessed in the middle. There are lots of mistakes that Paul Pogba makes. Yesterday, I felt he shied away from the physical battle with Thomas Partey. That's not on Scotty Mac. That's not on Fred. That's not on Matic. That's not on anybody other than Paul Pogba, in my opinion. We're going to go to Amir on the line in a moment. Before that, Super Chat here says, I don't blame Ollie. It's the players. No fight, no desire, their lackluster performance. They were passing it, looking at pigeons at 1-0 down. Look, I just think Man United sometimes, I don't know why. There are just certain games where there seems to be a distinct lack of fight. There really, really is. We've got Amir Iqbal on the line. What you saying, bro?
How you doing, Terry? You all right, man?
Yeah, I'm very well, my friend. What do you want to say?
So, first of all, I just want to say I'm not a Pogba apologist in any way, shape, or form, but I just want to cast your mind back to when Oli first signed.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, actually, when he was a temporary manager. Do you recall the form that Pogba was in then? And what was the distinction then to now?
The form was astonishing. And I think the distinction was, there's two things. Pogba was playing more further forward. And there's no doubt about that in terms of positioning on the pitch. But I think Pogba wanted to prove a point. And I think Pogba wanted to prove the point that I'm going to show you all. It was Jose that was the problem and holding me back. I wasn't the virus. And he had the bit between his teeth. That mentally made Pogba fight in games every single week. When Pogba returned after lockdown, and there'd been a lot of conjecture about fake injury, not dancing at his brother's wedding, trying to force a move away, he came back with a bit between his teeth for a 9-10 game period. And he's like, I'll show you all how good I am. And he did show us all how good he is. But once that, like that novelty factor, when you buy something new, it's, everyone gets a new car, they clean it 2 or 3 times a week, they think it's amazing. And then suddenly over the course of time, the novelty wears off and you care about it a little bit less. I think Paul Pogba gets into that kind of state at Manchester United, where he's like, well, that's how it feels to me. But go on, have your say, my friend. You've come from the show. Go on.
I think the form actually coincides with the position that he's been playing on the pitch. So if you look at Bruno, his form is immense, and he's playing in the number 10. And also when Pogba was in the number 10, his form was amazing as well. Now, if you look at since he's been dropped back into that deeper role, he still is one of our most creative players from that deeper role. But the issue isn't individual here; it's more of a collective. When I say that, I mean it's clear that Ollie only trusts 2 people to play in the double pivot, and that's going to be Scotty Mac and Fred. Now, when you're going to play that system and not have 3 in the midfield, but 2 people. Excuse me 1 moment.
Not a problem at all. He's had to go. Someone knocked at his door. Make sure you sign up to our mail list right now, people. Listen, there are no right and wrong opinions on this. Everyone's going to think and feel something differently. I say respectable Pogba. They don't need to be nasty towards him, overly disrespectful towards him, but have your say. Terry, are you bored of Paul Pogba now? I'm not bored of Paul Pogba. I want Manchester United to win more football matches. I want Man United to be at the top of the league. I care about my club more than Paul Pogba. And I just feel, for multiple reasons, Man United will improve if Paul Pogba leaves. And I think Paul Pogba will improve if he leaves Manchester United. I think the relationship has become toxic as a collective. And not between Ollie and Pogba or Ollie and the squad. I just think the whole thing, including the actual fans and supporters. And sometimes a change, as I say, can be as good as a rest. We're going to try Karim again. Karim's phoned us back now. Karim, welcome back. What do you want to say?
Hey, Terry, how's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm good, my friend. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to give you a couple of points. So I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm not a Manchester United fan. So I just wanted to say a couple of things that I've been noticing from Manchester United fans and maybe discuss them and get your opinion on that.
Go for it, my friend.
So I think with the whole Pogba Ollie issue, in my personal opinion, I don't think Ollie is a bad manager, but I don't think he's a good manager either. I think Pogba does not deserve to start for Manchester United, regardless of his price tag, regardless of his abilities. The demeanor that I see in games and the way that he moves and shifts himself across the field does not indicate seriousness in play. And let me just take you back to when Manchester United were still under Alex Ferguson. And as a Chelsea fan, you were our bogey team. Regardless of who was your lineup, you could see that if a player didn't play well or you didn't get the score that you need, you could tell that Alex Ferguson is just, everyone's wound up, everyone worries about that, and therefore they put the performance. Fast forward to when Ollie joined, you were going through a rough time. And when Ollie joined, there was such a spirit in the team that the players were performing, he was performing, and that's what I think Manchester United are lacking. You don't have that spirit anymore. And without the spirit, there is no fight in the team, regardless of how many good players you have. And I don't know what the solution will be for Manchester United, but I think you need to find a manager that basically just gives you that spirit. And it's very hard because you've got like people like Jose Mourinho coming in, who is kind of the person to go to when you want to do that, and it still didn't work. So I think it goes back to the institution from Manchester, from the Glazers, whether you're managing a football club or an institution.
And I agree with you. I think I saw a pundit, a blue tick pundit today, an ex-footballer, talk about how this is managerial problems and player problems. This is nothing to do with the board and the owners of the football club. I just completely and utterly agree. I think that I want to phrase it in the right way. When the people in the middle, the important decision makers, don't care about what happens on the football pitch as their primary focus, it gives everybody a get out of jail free card to drop poor performances and to not always have the grit and determination to stay at the highest level in 95% of the games that you play in. I think that United have done this now for 7 years, where we go through peaks and troughs every single season, and every single manager has had peaks and troughs. We go, oh, we look like we're turning the corner now, and then another week goes by. Like the way we looked against Newcastle, PSG, Chelsea, Leipzig, you're like, okay, defending well. By the way, we defended quite well yesterday, to be fair. It was interesting to lose a football match, but not be complaining about our defenders more so. It was our midfield that got destroyed yesterday. But you look at those games and it's like, okay, those 4 games, we look good. Now what can we do? And then we drop that performance against Arsenal. Now it's anybody's guess how we're going to look against Istanbul and Everton. I wouldn't be surprised if we lost both these games. I equally wouldn't be surprised if we won them both convincingly. It's so up and down. And I just think
it's very unpredictable.
Yeah, we are very, and it's been like, and this is why I can't solely blame Ollie. I won't solely blame Pogba, solely blame the players. It's a club issue. It's been going on. I don't think you can.
Exactly. It is
exactly. It's been going on for 7.5, getting towards 8 years now. And for me, there's a mentality issue at the very highest level at the club. And I think it seeps across the team. You know, I can't imagine if results went badly, like Woodward bursting into the dressing room and condemning the players.
I highly doubt that.
But I would almost, and I don't know if that's quite how it's done at football clubs because I don't work at that level, but that's how I want it to happen. I want the board and Woodward to care more about what's going on the field than any other element of the football pitch. Everything we do off the field, sponsorship deals, loan deals, investments, whatever it is, it should all be done with to create the right environment, the money to go, right, how are we going to make the team the best possible? Do you know what? We want to have the most amount of money. We want to have the biggest brand. We want to have the best resources, the best coaches, the best everything. And we need all the money to get that because we want to make our team the best on the football pitch. And I don't think that is the sole driver. When the players know that isn't the sole driver, when the managers know that isn't the sole driver, I think that as a feeling and an emotion at the club leads to the inconsistency, because that's why every single manager has been inconsistent. Every single player has been inconsistent that's come into this football club. We haven't even, whether we've signed them or already been at the club, not one player, I would say, has had a brilliant season from front to back in the whole time since Fergie's retired. I can't think of one who's had a solid 8, 9, 10 out of 10 season the whole year through. Maybe De Gea had 1 or 2 in that. I think De Gea probably had 2 or 3 years where he kept us higher up in the league than he should have done. But no one comes in and he's like, wow, like Rashford from start to finish this season has been immense for every single game. Pogba, none of them. And I think it's a club issue. I really do. Bro, I appreciate your call. Thank you very, very much as always. But remember, people don't want to blame the club. The club's the hard target because it's harder to pinpoint it on somebody. But there we go. Ollie is not the problem at Old Trafford. Blame it on the players and take it on the board. I hear you there, Derek. Pauline here says, yesterday before Pogba made his mistake, he was just jogging. But after he made the blatant shambolic mistake, he started to show some more aggression just to have redemption. And he did work hard after that, and he'd try after that to get us back in the game. But I want that level of commitment every single game, every single minute, every single moment from every single player. And I've said it before. I would take 10 Scott McTominay level players, outfield players, over 10 Paul Pogbas if, forget the players, devoid yourself of the individual player, if the McTominays were going to give me 100% every game, every week, and if the Pogbas were going to give me 100% one week and 80% the next, and then 100%, and then 60%, and then 70%, and then 40%, and then 100%. I'd rather the lesser quality players give me 100% every single time. I can support that. I can get behind that as a person because they're trying their best. And I feel with this Man United team, there are just some games where we lack the want. And I don't think it's technical. I don't think it's tactical. I think it's fight or flight. And that stems from the very middle of the football club. Does this club actually want to be the very best in the world on the football field? The answer is no. And I think that plants a very dangerous, poisonous, toxic seed in the middle of the football club. And it would do the same thing to any business, any corporation, any charity, any kind of educational body. If the middle of it, if their sole objective isn't to educate students to the highest level, isn't to make profits, isn't to make the best products portable, isn't whatever you're there to do. Do you know what I mean? If a hospital's sole job or main focus wasn't to save lives, I guarantee you more people in those hospitals would die. If the sole objective of a hospital was to make profits, it'd be a more dangerous place for patients to be. At a football club, when the primary target of the club isn't to be the best football team in the world, that in itself will create inconsistencies. Now, I'm not a master in those areas. I don't understand it. I'm a football fan. I'm a football supporter. But that's how I see it. It's simple and straightforward. And we always focus on the easy options every single time. And sometimes one of the biggest reasons why I want to see the Paul Pogbas go, and one of the reasons I want to see Ollie leave, is to see another manager and another top player come in, because I still think the same thing's going to happen again. And maybe then the eye tests of this world and the Pogba fanboys and the Ollie inners or the Ollie outers will go, do you know what? It's happened again. Imagine Poch comes in. We get rid of Pogba, we bring in Ndidi. We get rid of Rashford, we bring in Mbappe. We get rid of Maguire, we bring in Upamecano, and we stick with the same level of inconsistency. Then what? Then who are we going to blame? It would just be a new group defending the players and managers and another group condemning them. And the same people in the middle sitting there going, no one ever notices that it's us. Do you know what I mean? They're just getting away with it all the time. It's a madness. Call the show now. Skype lines are open. We want to hear from you. We're going to go member chat only for the last 15 minutes here, as we always do. Last 15 minutes here. We're going to have Imran on the show next to have his say. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the share button as well. It's an interesting number calling me. Somebody from New York. I don't know who that is. Let's get Imran on the show here. Imran, welcome to the Football Terrace. What do you want to say, my friend? Oh, we didn't answer. Well, we're going to go to Thomas. Thomas is now with us. What are you saying, Thomas?
Hey.
How you doing, my buddy? What do you want to say, my friend?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I'm good, my bro. What's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
Perfect. Go for it.
Okay, so I'm Portuguese and I'm a supporter of Sporting of Lisbon, so I know Bruno inside out, basically.
Yes.
When there was the attacks at the academy and 15 or 14 players just resigned their contracts, Bruno was one of the first ones that said, I'll go back to the club and receive the same salary. Then Manchester United came with an offer for, I don't know, 50 million or something like that, and Sporting said no. And there was a clause in Bruno's contract saying that he could receive 5 million. Bruno said no again. So when you need players that fight for and sweats and give everything for a shirt, Bruno is that. Bruno is the player that will fight until the end. So when you see like Bruno yelling and being frustrated and all of those problems, he just looks around and says, nobody's running as much as me. Nobody is like, do you know what do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand that completely. Do you know my biggest fear with Bruno? My biggest fear for Bruno is that the Manchester United Football Club take that away from him. In terms of, I think if you're in a bad environment long enough, it will end up tarnishing you. It'll end up corrupting you as an individual. And I sometimes say my opinions till later on in the views. To hopefully somebody brings it up and they don't. As I say, Pogba had a stinker yesterday. Pogba had a bad game. For me, Pogba lacks the fight when the going gets tough. But Man United as a club, as a collective, it isn't every single individual, because Scott McTominay's got fight every minute of the game. But some of our players, and I think Fred's one of them, I think Pogba's one of them, Phil Jones is one when he plays, as an example. Lindelof's another one of them. David De Gea, it's his biggest weakness. When you push it on these players, they don't say, well, let's go and have it then. They shy away. Anthony Martial's another fair weather player. When it's going well, it's great. I don't see him as someone that can roll up his sleeves. Rashford can do it, no problem. Bruno can do it, no problem. You know, there's no doubt in my mind about those players. I want to see more of that. I want these individuals who want to give blood, sweat, and tears for this club. And you need that, because when the going gets tough, that's what you need from these players. And do you know what's mad? When you look at Liverpool and you look at all of Pep Guardiola's teams, look at Klopp's Liverpool and all of Pep Guardiola's teams. Tremendous football players. But they work their socks off. They hunt you down in packs for the ball. They press you like crazy. And they will have a row with you and a fight with you, or they'll stick a tackle in where's needed. And I always remember this story. Have you heard of Man United were playing Watford? The manager of Watford at the time was a guy called A.D. Boothroyd. And it was his first time managing against Man United in the Premier League. And he told his Watford team, and this was in the days of Wes Brown, Rooney, younger Rooney. This was in like the mid to late 90s at some point, I believe. And I just listened to this story, an after dinner event that I was at, and he basically said that he went out there. It was one of his players talking for the time. He said he told us to go out there, and he told us that Man United were all flair and and all ability, but no substance. Stick it on them, cut the hard tackles, and you'll make them shy away. And he says the game started, and he said that I went and put one right through Wes Brown. I thought, right, Wes Brown, boom, that's going to take him out of the game. And then I went to do Paul Scholes, and I didn't quite land it on him, but Paul Scholes knows I was after him. He says,
yeah.
And I thought,
can I just say one last thing?
Yeah, go on.
Like, for instance, like when you have McTominay and Fred in the middle, like in front of the defense, and Bruno and Pogba are asking for that pass that like breaks the lines and like gives him the opportunity to then look for, in this case, Rashford and Greenwood. Like they don't do the pass; they prefer turning around, passing back to Maguire.
No, that's a risk thing, and some of those players is because they don't have the ability to always do it. But I think this is more about fight. And in terms of the story that I was saying, is that this player thought, all right, I'm on Man United here. He said, but in the next 5 minutes, he said he got one of the biggest football lessons of his life. He said because Paul Scholes, Wes Brown, and I think he says Wayne Rooney in the next 5 minutes kicked him up in the air with tackles. And basically showed them, you're not going to play us off the park today, but you're also not going to kick us off the park. And football teams need to have both. And I'm not saying we have to go out there and put 2 feet into people, punch people, elbow people, kick people. But what happens is when you get physically roughed up by Thomas Partey, what Man United need to do, because City will do it and Liverpool will do it, no doubt. And the best Chelsea teams used to do it. And Tottenham have done it in recent years, is they'll go, right, we'll show you what we're made of at the same time. And we're going to play good football, but we're also going to show some tenacity, some strength, some doggedness, and some aggression. And we're going to stand up. Man United players, too many of them, run away from the fight as opposed to stand up to it. And on top of that, some don't have the technical ability, like you mentioned, and they play the easier passes. Thomas, thank you for your call. Excellent. Thank you, my friend. Jordan Such here with a super chat says, hi, Terry. We have 7 points from 6 games. If it wasn't for the penalty after the final whistle against Brighton, we would have 5 points from 6 games, with 4 of those games being at Old Trafford. It's disgusting. Ollie has to do better. Jordan, you're not going to hear me defend it. Our start to the season has been absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. And it cannot be defended by a single person. Cannot be. And I'm telling you now, if it wasn't for Ollie's Champions League form, he would be sacked. If it wasn't for those 2 great games in the Champions League, they'd be sacking him after yesterday's defeat. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. But Jordan, that's still my problem with this club. If a manager's only hanging on by 4 or 5 games, you don't want him. If it's like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to see, like, if you're with your partner and you're like, I'm going to see how she is over the weekend. If she moans once, or if she's grumpy once, or if she burns my toast once, I'm going to break up with her. Don't do that. Just end it there and then, because you're already pretty much there. You're waiting for one, you're waiting for the straw that breaks the camel's back, but the camel's back's already knackered, mate. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's done. It's already there. That's the biggest problem I have with this club. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourselves on the show. We want to hear from you right about now. Call the Skype line. Believing it's a member chat only, so sign up to become an official member of the Football Terrace right about now. We've got some amazing new emojis on the way. They're being made at the moment. Some of your favorite presenters are going to be available in the emoji section soon, which is going to be grand. We're going to get Tom Harper on the line here to have his say. Before that, the Believing Gooner says, so many Man United fans thought they would smash us after their 5-0 thumping to RB Leipzig, but they came back to demoralizing 1-0 loss to the Arsenal at home. Yes, it was demoralizing. We got absolutely slapped, bullied, and beat down by Arsenal yesterday. And it's, it was a hard one to take. Tom's on the line now. Tom, what do you want to say?
Hello, you all right, mate?
I'm very well. What do you want to say, bro?
The thing with the Paul Pogba, can I just ask you, how many times a season does he turn up? How many games?
For me, he turns up against the vast majority of teams outside the top 6, top 7, top 8. He puts in good performances against them. I would say on average, he turns... How many top 6 games are there that Man United play in each year? There's just, I don't know how many we play in. I'm trying to work out the top of my head. There's 10 of them we play in, obviously. Out of those 10 games against top 6 opponents, I'd say he turns up and does very well in about 2 of them on average.
This is what I mean. Like, I think, you usually say, oh, he's like the best player like you've got. I think technically, probably yes. Form-wise, he's probably the worst. And I don't get where people go, I think people get blinded by his technical ability than to his form. Because he don't. Whenever I watch him, I'm not calling him lazy. Or some players look like they're being lazy, but they're not. But you just look at him. He's more of just a pass merchant. Now he gets the ball, he lays it off. He gets it, he lays it off. He don't. When you watch him before at Juventus, he'll take someone on. He'll go on a 10-yard run, go through 2-3 players. I think when he come to Man United, he was doing that sort of. I know it's a harder league probably, but I just don't really see anything from him. I just, with that 200 grand he's on, he ain't worth it for me.
Mate, I understand where you're coming from. And I think for me, we live in this era now where technical ability is seen as more important than outputs, which I find staggering when the same people that hate Ollie and say it's a results-driven business, they don't care about the results of individual players. They care more about ability, and they don't care about passion. They don't care about work rate. They don't care about energy. They don't care about the never say die attitude and fight or flight. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And for me, when I look at someone like Paul, I don't think he's right for that. And I'm not saying he needs to, people always try and twist it. They go, oh, not everyone can be a Roy Keane and jump into a tackle. It's not about, but it isn't about that. I'm not even saying foul anyone, but I've played football. It's one of those moments where, all right, well, I'm going to use my body weight. I'll tell you one of my biggest bugbears with Lukaku. I didn't feel Lukaku used his clear physical strength enough.
Smart. It's football smart. That's what it is. You get in front of him. It's like when you go into the box and when you go into the penalty area, you put yourself in front, so then you get brought down. That's football smart. You get in front of them, go down. And
I just want to see Pogba get stuck into more games, and I think the games where I have seen him do that have been where he's gone on to perform, score goals, be the creator, because he bosses people, and then people stay away from him, and he's like, oh, he's got the better of me today. But there are too many occasions where Paul Pogba just goes missing, and it's more infuriating because technically he is our best player. And for me, I always have a hierarchy to it. I have less expectations on a Scott McTominay than I do a Paul Pogba because he is superior in every single way. However, if Paul Pogba had Scott McTominay's mentality for the big games, that fight or flight attitude, Paul Pogba would be the very best football player in world football.
I think that's where he's missing to become world class. Because I think world class is based on your form. It's our consistency. You do it like as I said before when I was on. I said about Özil. I said for me, consistency makes you a world class player. Like Ronaldo, he does it for years, or even for a year, and you do it for a second year. You get them one players where they do it. They look absolutely amazing for a couple of games, and then they have about a couple more games. They're not doing anything. But I do miss the old Man United. Like I'm a West Ham fan. I remember going to games where I don't know if you remember it. We beat you 2-1. Anton Ferdinand scored against you.
I was at that game, mate. I was. We went 1-0 up in that game.
Yeah, that's it. And then Matthew Upson scored, and then Anton Ferdinand scored. Like I miss them games. Like I remember the famous game in the snow because the snow was there. We beat you 4-0.
And you know what's mad, right? Back in them days, I'm telling you this now. Of course, Man United still lost games, but what you didn't see is you never ever saw a pundit, a journalist, a manager, or a fan say, "We had no fight today. We gave it." And this is I'm not this weirdo that sits there thinking if Paul Pogba worked harder in every single game, we'd never lose a football match. That's crazy. That's crazy. But you walk away going, but he gave everything he could get. And there was a moment yesterday in the game, and we did it in our tactical show earlier. Partey lost the ball, turned around, and
I saw this.
And run back into his position. Now, Cavani's pass should have been better. But had Partey given up because he lost the ball, Cavani...
When Paul Pogba loses the ball, he gives up. He's like,
too often. It doesn't always, but too often he does. And this is why I say this to... I always explain this to non-Man United fans. One of the big things we loved about Rooney and Carlos Tevez when they played for us is they would chase every ball and hunt it down. If they'd lost the ball in the opponent's box, they'd run. And fans love to see that because it shows us I'm working hard for you. I want my team to win.
As a West Ham fan, that's all we know, really. That's all.
And the only time you can get away with not doing that is if you're a Messi or a Ronaldo. or an Henry or anyone at that level that's scoring and creating pretty much every single game you play in. Harry Kane. Then you get away with it. When you're a central midfielder, you're not allowed to not do that, in my opinion. You can't get away from it. If you're the number 10, potentially, maybe. But for me,
I
with
don't
Paul
think-
Pogba,
I
he
don't
doesn't
think-
play in that role, so he can't get away with it. Bro, I appreciate you coming on, Tom. Thank you very much, mate. Speak to you again soon, buddy. Thank you. The next year, the Super Chat says, Henderson does not have the skill like Messi, but if I was going into war, Henderson would fight to the last blood. In a football war, no doubt about it. Absolutely. By the way, everyone tuning in, please smash the like button. Hit the share button for us as well. We're closing up on nearly an hour that we've been live here. We're going to go to Imran here. Imran, welcome back to the Football Terrace. What are you going to say?
How's it going, Terry? You all right?
I'm not bad, mate. What do you want to say, buddy?
With Paul Pogba, it's just not worked out, Terry. He needs to, for his career, he needs to leave. He doesn't work hard. Fabulous footballer, Terry. Brilliant footballer in his day. He doesn't work hard off the pitch. He doesn't work enough hard on the pitch. He's too inconsistent. Yesterday, he was in and out of the game and whatnot. This is a £90 million player. The excuse with Paul Pogba for his first season when he came was the price tag was too much. That price tag has been smashed now by Neymar. So how come he's still inconsistent? What is the excuse? Is excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse? And I think pretty much all the fan base is tired of it.
Yeah, and do you know what stands out to me, Imran, is when people defend him, they're starting to use the same words as I saw people use towards the Eden Hazards. Now, Eden Hazard was a top player. And when I say excuses, when people said he was as good as Messi and Ronaldo, but the reason he doesn't deliver the same numbers, the reasons they gave were the same ones the same people now give to Pogba being inconsistent. And I'm like, that don't make sense to me. And there's one thing that always stands out in all this. I remember being on a show, and I don't remember what channel it was. It was this new fan channel that was launching. They had Justin Lee Collins was the presenter on it, and it was on television. And I was there that day. I was in one of the guests. I was on one of the guests, and they Juve fan on it. It was 2 days after we signed Paul Pogba. And I was like, yeah, he's going to come in, do this, and this guy said to me, on air and off air, trust me, he'll only turn up 1 in every 3 games. And I just thought he was being bitter. And I look back at it now, and it's like, do you know what? No, and I've tried my best to be positive about Paul. I've tried my best to, I'll defend him. And yesterday was just the final straw for me in the sense of, I'm not going to attack him. I'm not going to abuse him. When he plays well, I'm going to praise him. When he plays badly, I'm going to criticize him. I just don't think it's worked out with Man United, and it's best for him and everybody associated that we move him on this summer, invest in a different player, and allow him to go flourish elsewhere, because it's only going to become more toxic for Paul. And I don't want him to suffer that, because I respect the guy far too much as a football player. There's no doubt about it at all.
You know what upsets me when he goes? The thing I think will upset all of us would be what could have been. He could have been a brilliant player at Man United. He could have been amazing, but we'll never know. And also, Terry, with Solskjaer, Terry, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently there's reports coming out that Pochettino is looking like inevitably going to be the next Man United manager. And apparently reports are coming out that when he comes to Man United, all of his backroom staff will come in. So apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, but I think he said that when I come to Man United, I don't want any of the former coaching staff. I'm going to bring my
and that's the right thing to do. Again, everyone knows my thoughts. If Poch is,
so what happens to Michael Carrick, Terry?
He'll have to go. They'll have to go. I think that if that's what he wants, that's what he wants. I think for me, that wouldn't bother me. If we're going to bring in a new manager, it needs to be a regime change. It needs to be Maurizio Pochettino's team. And we will, by the way, we will play better football on the Poch. I think I've always pretty much said that. But it's about end result for me. In the long term, over a long-term basis, we'll be in the same position, because I think these owners and this board are going to take us backwards.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, let's just say, for example, Edward Wood appoints you as sporting director, okay?
Yeah.
You're the sporting director of Man United, and he brings you in, and he sits you down, and he goes, look, Terry, what should we do? Do you want to stick with Oli and his backroom and his coaching staff and this vision, or Mauricio Pochettino is available, Terry? He's available now, and it's not going to cost anything, Terry. It's not going to cost anything. It's up to you, Terry.
So it's bigger than that question, though. See, for me, it's a case of
what's out. Are not going.
what I'm saying is here, the question isn't should I sack Ollie and bring in a different manager? It's what's our philosophy? What is our goal? What are we looking for from a cultural point of view? How are we looking to play football? What trajectory do we want to go in? So for me, it's like if we want to play Poch's style, but we want it to be Man United style, and when Poch leaves in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, we still want to play a version of that. Because what you have to create, what you have to create a club is balance. You need your under 8s, your under 15s, your reserve team, your female team, all playing the same brand of football, the same style with the same philosophy. When we send out a player on loan for a year, they have to go to a club that's as close to our philosophy as we can find, so that when they come back, they haven't had 12 months, 18 months, 2 years playing in a completely different style. There's no point having a style like Jose Mourinho's and sending your players out on loan to a style like Pep Guardiola's, because you can't improve that player to work in your current system. So it isn't about Ollie or Poch for me. It's about the direction the club wants to go in. Because we shouldn't be thinking myopically about which manager. It should be the broader picture and how do we want to operate as a club. But the point I've said earlier on in the show, our board don't care about that. So my answer would be under our board, because I know they wouldn't let even me change it as sporting director, is let's just get the best possible manager in, because we are more likely to yield something, more success in the short term. Because I don't think under the Glazers we can build anything long term.
No,
so that's my view. But it's not an easy answer, because everybody just wants to pigeonhole you and say, oh, you either want Poch in or Ollie in. And it's not as simple as that for me, because neither are the biggest problem and neither will resolve our problems in the long term. They just won't.
You know the problem with Man United, managing Man United? There's so much pressure on the job. But let's say, for example, if Oli played attacking football, like very high-paced football, the way Man United old, and let's say, for example, we played fantastic yesterday. We lost, Terry, but we were amazing. We were enjoying it. Do you think there'll be that much of a negativity towards Oli? Let's say it was a great game, Terry. We lost. There would be
hang on, there'd be less negativity again in the short term,
because the games are boring.
Yes, well, some are, some not, but there'd be less negativity in the short term, but in the end, it would still be like, well, we're not winning trophies still though, because that's meant to. What I don't want to settle for, if we're trying to, like, idealistically, is great football and still not winning. The problem is that fans don't know what they want. If they say the aim is to be Premier League champions, then that should all we be aiming for. If we're happy to drop our standards and know that we're not really going to win major things and we just want to play good football, then that's a fair enough way to go about things.
I'm Oli in, Terry. I am Oli in, and I want him to do well. I want him to win the league title and everything. But that's what my heart is saying, Oli in. But my head is saying, Terry, it's looking likely the Pochettino.
No, and I understand that, but your head's saying, but your heart's saying Ollie in because you love Man United and the romance is there inside you.
Yeah.
Every single Man United fan in the world who loves Man United, so the true supporters, wants Ollie to stay and wants Ollie to win the league, because the romance of that is more beautiful than hiring a Poch or a Jose or an LVG or a David Moyes. However, your head is like, I know Poch is the better coach, so Poch could make us play better football. But what my head's telling me, Imran, is this. It doesn't matter what coach comes in. The Glazers will still screw it up for us, because they don't care. The cold light of day, winning the league, being a good footballing team on the pitch isn't of primary importance to them. And until it becomes the most important element of the football club, you will never forget winning the league every year. You won't create a consistent sporting model. I think it's impossible. Imran, thank you very much for coming on the show, bro. Appreciate it. Everyone who's tuned in today, thank you. Make sure you go into our link in our description below. Big competition starting soon to win a road mic, webcam, brand new PlayStation 5 when it gets released, along with some football boots and football shirts as well. You have to be signed up to our mailing list and newsletter. The link for that is inside our description below. Do me a big favor now. Do that. Sign up for that. Hit the like and share button of this video. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very soon. Also tonight, 9:30 p.m, that Arsenal show is on. Man like Adam Charles is back in the house, and make sure you're tuning in for that. I'm sure they're going to be bantering Man United fans aplenty. I'm sure Man United fans are going to get absolute stick on that tonight, so I'm not looking forward to it. But that's pretty normal, I think. Listen, until next time, everyone, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless.